sandwiches, ice cream, coffee and snacks, and many other pleasing treats. Our foods are fresh and tasty, our drinks satisfying and refreshing. They're so good.
Welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In.
And now, on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In, episode number 89, I think. I can't remember. It's been a hectic day. I just rushed to get home. So it's October 18th while we're recording this, and it's snowing here in Maine today. So not very much, but it's October and it's snowing. So, you know, a little late getting home today, so I'm a little rushed getting this because I know Eugene and speaking of that, today's guest, you may know him from the Movie Freaks podcast and a frequent guest of this show, my good friend Eugene Weaver from the Movie Freaks podcast. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing well. Glad to be on the show again. It's been a little while.
Yeah. There was a little time frame there where I was having some internet issues and I couldn't do much for Skype stuff because my internet, and I finally got all that stuff resolved. And then it was time for October and trying to get set up with that. And I had some guests I had to reschedule, and it's been a bonkers last 2 or 3 months trying to get stuff squared back around. And I kind of went to a new format instead of doing 2 episodes every week. Now I'm just doing 1, and you know, 1 week is like an interview episode, the next week is like a review episode. So, because that's getting a little burned out, you know, doing 2 a week. It gets to be hectic sometimes. Fine once in a while, every week's a bit much.
Yeah. That's how I was with my Cinema Soft Underbelly show that I used to do. I was by myself. And I started strong, and then after a while I just got burned out, especially because I'm so heavily involved in the Movie Freaks podcast and just busy with life, you know, kids and my wife and job and all that stuff. I'm like, you know what? I don't have time for my own little show. I'm just going to focus primarily on Movie Freaks, and that's what I've been doing for. We've been at it for over 4 years now, I think.
Awesome, yeah. I know you guys are creeping right along, man. You're up and close over 200 or 300 now.
Yeah, we're over 200. We're kind of starting to get to be the old touring road dogs, where we've just been on tour for years now.
They're the curmudgeon-y old men of horror movie reviewing.
That's right. That's us. I shudder to think what we sounded like way back in like our very, very early first few episodes, because I even go back to every now and then just to hear myself and to see how I might be able to improve my part of the show. I go back and listen to some older episodes, and there are so many different things where I'm like, I say wow too much. That's strike one. I say wow way too much on my show, on Movie Freaks show, and there's other things that I'm like, I have to try to remember, okay, knock that shit out, because I want to keep getting better at what we do, so.
Oh, yeah. It's a learning experience. It's like, especially when you have another, you have a co-host or a guest, getting used to knowing when not, try not to cut people off, but also not letting them go for an hour before you speak. And, there's a lot more to it, I think, than most people really realize. But it's fun, man. I love doing it. I'm glad I kind of got into it. And
yeah, it's a good creative outlet.
Oh, for sure. So, like you, like me, I'm sure, and knowing from the Movie Freaks podcast, you are full on into horror month, even though I know with you every month is horror month.
Every month. So, almost every day sometimes is horror.
Where I go, I have ebbs and flows more with me, like I watch horror all year round, but October I just go especially bonkers.
And me too. I'm right there with you. I watch more in October than I do any other month. Well, December I usually hit it pretty hard too, just because there's so many Christmassy, holiday-themed horror movies that I binge.
Your 43 viewings of Silent Night, Deadly
Night.
Yeah,
exactly.
Don't lie,
Yes.
Yeah, this year I've been doing something a little different for the most part. Instead of just rewatching old favorites or whatever, I have been diving into the realm of cinema of stuff I've never seen, or stuff that I may have only seen like once. There's been very few movies I have thrown on that were actual films I watched more than once, Yeah. So it's been fun, and in a lot of ways, it's kind of reinvigorated me this month giving me that little kick in the ass because, while I am getting a few duds here and there, I'm discovering some stuff. It's like, that was pretty good. Now I want to see something else, with this. And it's giving me that motivation. If I had gotten on a string of shit movies, I probably would be singing a different tune and be like, to hell with that. I'm canceling my plans. I'm just going to go rewatch all the Halloween movies and all the Romero movies, dead movies again. And, everything I watch every year and, that sort of thing. But it's been pretty good for the most part. Like I said, there's been some ups and downs, but
same here. Me too. There's been somewhere I'm like, I'm going to give this one a chance because it's on Netflix and it's one that I normally wouldn't watch, but because it's October Horror Month, why not hit play on it? Even though it's kind of roulette is how Eric and I go about these newer horror, or just like to wade through the ocean of cinema. Is we do a roulette where we each pick 3 movies that the other person has not seen, and we throw them their way, and then they have to pick one, and then we review it on the next episode. And so I'm actually, apart from our roulette on our show, where we're watching some of our roulette type picks on Netflix, and just like you, it kind of ebbs and flows. Some of them are good, and I'm like, you know what, that was good enough where I'm going to take another chance on a Netflix movie, and then one of them might end up being complete another dog shit, and so then it's like, okay, back to back to what I'm familiar with. Time to pop in a Friday the 13th or something to cleanse the palate of not good Netflix.
Yeah, well, not so much like not that I've really run into a string of bad movies at all, but this week I did watch a few favorites that, just because it's like, this has been awesome finding all this new stuff, but man, I really, I wanted to throw, even though it is technically considered a horror, but in a ways, but it's also not, is Turbo Kid. It has horror elements for sure, because it is gory as all shit, but it's not really like a traditional horror. But I finally got a Blu-ray copy of that, which I have been trying to get a Region 1 copy of that forever.
Yeah. And
I finally got it, so I had to throw it in, and I watched the Summer of '84.
Which one did you like better? I haven't watched Summer of '84 yet, and I know you really liked that one from your review online.
I really, honestly, the Summer of '84, and this is kind of a good bridge into this because I already reviewed it on the show for my listeners, but that's one of those movies, like, I gave it pretty high praise. I didn't like it quite as much as Turbo Kid, but they're two vastly different movies. Don't expect Turbo Kid with Summer of '84. There's not a lot of gore. There's really not a lot of gore, but that movie is very unsettling and well made. And in spots, it's very unsettling, and it's very well made. But they're two completely different movies. I described it, I think, as I can't remember. I can't even remember now. But I described it as like a mix of like The Goonies mixed with like a serial killer movie. It's really weird. It's an odd mixed with Stand By Me, and it's kind of just an odd little film, but odd in a good way. Like the blending of what they did was awesome. So you see a lot of people online, and the first thing I hear a lot of people say, well, it's a Stranger Things ripoff. Don't listen to any of those people, because I'm pretty sure the majority of those dumbasses haven't actually watched the film. They just saw the trailer, and because it takes place in the 80s, it's automatically getting lumped in with, like, Stranger Things. Has no... I mean, I'm not spoiling anything. It has no paranormal elements in it or anything like that. It's just a straight-up cool movie. So...
Yeah, I'll definitely check that one out. You got the Blu-ray of that one, correct?
Yeah, okay. It's print on demand, so you got to order it off a site or whatever.
Okay.
I think it was only like $12 or $13. It's well worth it. It's a really good film. So.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm on the fence with that one because how was the runtime a bit long on that? Or
I'm trying to think. No, it wasn't real bad. I think it was like an hour. 30-hour 40.
Okay, all right, okay. For some reason, maybe I'm thinking because The Apostle was, which I reviewed on Movie Freaks. You'll by the time your episode is out with us, I'm guessing that Movie Freaks will be out as well. And I reviewed the latest horror movie on Netflix called Apostle, and that was 2 hours and 10 minutes, and it's a great movie, but it's It's too long. It's too long. You could have got done about as good as what is on screen in about an hour and 45 as you could have in the 2 hour and 10 minute runtime.
I've been lucky so far. Well, not lucky in a lot of ways, because I have kind of been calculating about how I viewed a lot of my movies. A lot of the stuff on my list, I have been going for the shorter runtime films.
Me too.
The longer ones. So I've watched a lot of those hour 20, hour 30, maybe hour 40 tops movies, because I'm trying to get a couple in every night. And if I watch a 2 hour plus movie, I'm only going to get one, because there ain't no way I'm going to get the other one in. And I'm the type of person, I don't know about you, I generally don't like starting a movie and then not finishing it. You know,
Yeah.
I like to watch stuff all the way through in one sitting. Sometimes it happens, especially if it's something I'm familiar with, I don't care so much, but something I haven't seen, I hate stopping in the middle of the film. I want to finish it. So.
And that's honestly, that's what happened with The Apostle. Is it's 2 hours and 10 minutes, and you know, once I get the kids to bed, and then I start the movie, and you know, by the hour and a half mark, I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting tired. And they're this very plot heavy movie, and so that's actually one where I actually stopped it, because I'm like, this is good enough where I don't want to doze off and then wake up and be seeing the last 10 minutes of the movie. I want to be able to experience the entire movie. But yeah, I'm there with you, especially this month, man. If I can find hour and a half or less movies, those are the ones that I gravitate towards in October, just to be able to watch them all in one sitting, or to, basically, a lot of times it's quantity over quality for my October viewing. I hit movie number 29 last night for me, and I still got a ways. We're still pretty early on. The problem is now, like, I watched two movies that weren't on my list. One was Scream of the Wolf, which was an old Peter Graves movie, television movie from the 70s, written by Richard Matheson. Nice.
Who wrote The Last Man on Earth and all that.
And wrote Trilogy of Terror, which I just watched Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black the other day.
That just come out on Blu-ray.
I just got it. Yep, I watched it yesterday.
My friend Dan also got it. Dan will be back on the show this week, by the way, for those who have been missing Dan. Dan was supposed to be on like every week with me, but unfortunately Dan's job is very demanding of his time, and he's been short-staffed and had a lot of issues so he's just hasn't had time to come back on, but he will be back on this Sunday. So those of you that have been waiting for Dan, but Dan, I was just saying, Dan also just got that because he was telling me he was getting ready to watch it the other night. So
have you ever watched Trilogy of Terror?
No, I have not. It's been one of those ones I've been really interested in checking out, but I've just never got around to.
Oh, you'll like it. The middle segment is a bit meh to me, but the first one's good, and the last one, obviously, with the little Zuni doll, is classic 70s horror. It's fantastic.
So I watched that Scream of the Wolf yesterday, which is on Amazon Prime if anybody wants to check it out. The actual review of that movie will be on the next review episode, which will be later, be sometime next week. It's not happening this week. My schedule's just been bonkers the last couple of weeks. So trying to find time to record has just kind of been hard to do. But last night, now this is cool. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Ryan Crosman. For those of you who don't know, I have been working very hard on improving my health and stuff like that, and I've lost 110 pounds in the last 16 months. So one of my buddies, as a congratulations, you're doing an awesome job gift, found me a copy of Cemetery Man, because I have been trying to find a copy of that forever. And then for anybody who's been to my house, there's a giant Cemetery Man poster on the wall. I didn't want to pay like $60 for a copy of it, so Ryan found me a copy on eBay and bought it for me and surprised me. He's like, "Oh, by the way, you got something coming in your mail." No idea. I opened it up. I'm like, dude, I was like, I have awesome friends. That's pretty cool. So last night I was like, I got this, I think it was Tuesday, and last night I was like, yeah, I'm going to go watch this tonight because I've been dying to see this again. And it is as awesome as I remember. I love that movie so much. So If you have never seen Cemetery
I've
Man?
seen it numerous times, yeah. I have seen that all the way back to the VHS days when I used to work at the mom and pop VHS store. The owner got that in, and so I watched it, and it was a bit too bizarro for me at the time. I was more like just straight like it. The ending, I'm like, what? But it's grown on me through the years. It's not my favorite Michael Soave. I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
I always call it Sovi. But...
Sovi, there we go. It's not like, I think Stage Fright's my favorite from him just because it's straight up slasher.
Yeah.
And
that was the one of his I didn't care for that much, but I only watched it one time.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I don't know. It's what I need to give a second chance to. Because, like I said, I started out like watching the first movie I ever watched of his was Cemetery Man. You know, then I watched The Church, and I'm
awesome
just like,
movie,
which I love that movie. That's another one I need to re-add to my collection. And then I watched Stage Fright, and I was just like, I was expecting more of like The Church and Cemetery Man.
Have you seen The Sect from
I
him?
have not. I actually tried to find that the other day, and I couldn't find a copy for sale anywhere. But
they those are available from. I mean, I have the UK imports, the Region B imports, but I believe that Scorpion released those. I believe so, but expect to pay a lot. Those are not cheap. Yeah. But there is a Region A Blu-ray release for both The Church and the Sect, but they're not cheap. But no, I've got the shameless releases.
The Church wasn't too bad. I think that was only like 20.
Yeah, they were about $25, something like that.
I would spend that on The Church. I don't know about the Sect just because I've never seen it, but
it's worth it for the end, and it's kind of that bizarro. It has that bizarro atmosphere, much like The Church, where you're not quite sure what's going on, but
it's very surreal.
Yes.
Like his films are very surreal in general. Very much like his mentor Dario Argento.
Correct.
You know, their films are very, and it's weird because I never watched a lot of Argento films next to his films, but I just recently watched Phenomena the other day.
Great movie.
I forgot how awesome that movie is. And the little kid in that just creeps me out so bad. But that whole last third of that movie,
it's just batshit crazy. With the monkey and the razor blade, it's awesome. I love Phenomena.
The first 2/3 of that movie's cool, and I enjoy the hell out of it. It's that last third though, where it just goes super off the rails.
Yeah. Every now and then there's some heavy metal music that Argento throws in there. That for some people I don't think it works, but for me, it adds to the bizarreness. Like, all of a sudden metal song, okay.
I can never think of that movie without hearing Flash of the Blade by Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
You know? So, which is one of my favorite Iron Maiden songs, so that just makes it even better for me as soon as that riff comes in, you know.
I love it.
But yeah, Cemetery Man, for those of you who haven't seen Cemetery Man, if you can find a copy, I believe it just got released on a region free, possibly, or something on Blu-ray, or a region. If you have a region free player, you can get a copy. Synapse maybe released.
I don't think they were. No, I don't think they were. Because they're US based. I feel like a German company released it, and maybe a UK company released it. But do you have the Blu-ray?
No, not of Cemetery Man. My buddy got me the Anchor Bay DVD.
Oh, okay. The Anchor. Okay, gotcha.
I will be upgrading as soon as there is a Region 1 release of it. But for those of you who haven't seen it, if you can find a copy, I highly recommend it. It's a very dark movie. The humor's dark. The whole tone of the movie is dark.
Yeah.
But it's weirdly beautiful, and there's a lot of metaphors about life and death, love, friendship. It's very metaphor heavy. If you are not into films that are like have a lot of metaphor and you really got to think about what's going on and look at the visuals and look at everything, probably not the movie you want to watch.
Yeah.
But if you want a straight ahead first part, second part, third part, definitely not the movie to watch. But if you want to just go on and have yourself an experience and just see some stunning cinematography, and much like Argento, he has a way of using colors to really emphasize certain things and that weird style of filming and everything. And so
yeah, and I think that like Stage Fright is a little bit less like that of all his movies. That one there, like if I would see that was directed by Lamberto Bava or something, I would be like, all right, that fits. That doesn't feel like it goes with The Church, the Sect, and Cemetery Man or Della Morte, Delamore. Like, it doesn't quite fit that mix. It's more of just like Italian movie trying to be an American slasher. But yeah, I'm a slasher guy. I love slasher movies,
and that's what it reminded me of when I watched. I mean, granted, it's been quite a while since I watched it, but that's what it reminded me of. It was an Italian movie trying to be an American slasher instead of just being Italian off the rails and wacky and weird. Because I think anybody that's watched a fair amount of Italian films, there is a certain style and way those films go that are very, very different. Especially that era is very different from American cinema. I think you're starting to see some directors now coming out doing movies that took a page from the Italian books. You can kind of tell that they were fans of the giallos and just Italians, because you're starting to see some of that surrealistic filmmaking. I would dare even say, I'm going to throw this out there, and because I was thinking of this today because it's one I'm going to get back to very soon. Annihilation kind of reminded me of an Italian film in a lot of ways, with the way it was structured and how just weird the story is.
I could actually see that. Yeah, I could see that. I
not
love that
so
movie.
much like color palette and like filming cinematography wise, but the way the story goes and just the nature of it. It reminded me of Italian cinema.
Yeah. And another thing that I really appreciated about Stage Fright is not only is it a slasher movie, but unlike so many other slasher movies of that era, that were so heavily butchered, especially the Friday the 13th movies. This one here was gleefully gory, and all the gore is intact. I mean, it is really hardcore gory, and Giovanni Lombardo Radice is in it, and he is one of my favorite Italian actors. He was in Cannibal Ferox and House on the Edge of the Park. He's been in so many of these old Italian movies where he's the blonde guy. Have you ever watched Cannibal Ferox?
I haven't, no.
You haven't, okay. You'd probably recognize him. I believe he plays a gay character in Stage Fright. He's the blonde-haired guy. He's actually he's the guy that wears the owl costume. Before I was going to say, I remember the
owl costume quite well, but
Giovanni Lombardo. He was actually the kind of weirdo pervert guy in City of the Living Dead, Lucio Fulci's City of the Living Dead, that gets the drill in his head.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's
him.
Yeah. And I love him. He's so awesome. Anyway, I love Stage Fright. In fact, just talking about it right now, there's a good chance I'm going to pull that one out and watch that one tonight. I'm like, that fits my what I'm going for this month.
I'm putting Eugene in the mood for some Italian cinema. Not that's that hard, but
exactly. Very easy thing to do.
I also, because I know you and I have talked about it before, but I had never seen Demons, and I finally watched Demons.
Love Demons.
So great! I really enjoyed that. Some of the it's a bizarre friggin' movie, but
yes, it is.
It's a fun bizarre, and some of the shots in that are just friggin' awesome. The cool shots are, to me, what really made that movie cool. The scene with the demons coming up the stairwell and their back.
I love that.
That is just so cool.
Yeah. What's interesting about Demons is it was directed by Lamberto Bava, but you can tell that Dario Argento had a big hand in making that movie. Much like John Carpenter as a producer on Halloween 2. You can tell when watching Halloween 2, John Carpenter's hands are all over that. And the same, I think, applies for Demons. Is like watching Demons, it feels like Argento had a big hand in making this movie. It feels like it's not quite as surreal as some of Argento's stuff, but it very much has that color palette, like just that weird Argento vibe going on. I love Demons. One of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to get to it this month, but I will be watching Demons too.
You have to. It's so good. It's so good. And that one there I immediately liked Demons the first time I watched it. Demons 2 took some... getting some more, I guess, some warming up to it because they do away with the metal music of the first one and they do more new wave stuff. And I reviewed
like
this on
both
Movie
though.
Freak.
I'm a huge new wave fan,
Yeah.
so that doesn't bother me at all.
Well, and it's a little bit more. It's not quite as gory. It's a little bit more trashy than the first one. And for some reason, I'm like, the first one is perfect. This one is not the same. But I have come to love Part 2, much like I have come to just adore Friday the 13th Part 5 for all its trashiness. Yeah. That's why I like Demons Part 2.
And we were talking about this online the other day, dude. I've never disliked Part 5, but it was, more towards like the middle-ish area of my Friday the 13th favorites. And the more I've watched it, that's one of my more least watched, probably 5.
Me too. Same here.
Probably between, out of the original 8 Paramount films, 5 and Jason Takes Manhattan are probably the 2 that I've watched the least.
Same here. Yeah.
And the more that I've watched 5, the more I appreciate it for just being a weird fucking movie. It's
so bizarre and great and trashy. I love it.
It has some of the, I think, some of the better kills in the series in it,
Hey, there are over 20 kills in that movie, and that's a record I believe that's a record for the Friday the 13th series, even though the movie was, as with all of the Paramount Jasons, they were all butchered by the bastard MPAA, but it's still, like, there's tons of kills in that thing, and it's just, there's never a dull moment. I think that's why I like it so much, is unlike, like, Jason Takes Manhattan, I'm bored in Jason Takes Manhattan. Here, either someone's getting naked or someone's dying every couple minutes, it seems. Yeah. And there's just crazy, and the dialogue is funny, and it's wonderful. I love it. It's continuing to climb on my list of favorite Jason movies. It's not number one. The first one is still my favorite, and Part 6, Jason Lives, is such a bad ass movie.
4 and 6 are my favorites.
Yeah, seriously, 1 through 6 can all be interchangeable. They're all so good.
There's not much of, really, the first 6 films, there's really not that much of a difference between any of them. I mean, I'm talking like, I rate films on a scale of 1 to 10, and almost all of them are within, a point of each other.
Same here.
One way or the other, generally. So
yeah. 7 takes a dip mainly because that's, I think, the most cut of all of them. Like that, to me, it's borderline PG-13. They're like, John Carl Buechler directed that thing, and the MPAA came down hard on that one there, and you can tell, we're talking PG-13 level violence in that thing, and it sucks because it's a good movie.
If you watch Crystal Lake Memories, there's a great section in Crystal Lake Memories where he's talking about how bad that film got butchered and all the, John Carl is an effects guy. He's, he's going to want stuff to be gory and just over the top. And you can tell with some of the kills, the way they cut to them, if they had showed those, how amazingly just brutal those would have been.
Yeah. The Weed Eater scene, there's so many scenes in that movie where it's like, you cut away. There you show nothing, which they do that in the other ones too. But
it does have the infamous sleeping bag scene, though.
Yes. Which is great. That's the best kill. Not only is that the best kill in that movie, that's one of my favorite kills in the entire series.
The entire series.
Great.
My favorite is still friggin' Crispin Glover.
Oh, I love that.
With the whole corkscrew, and that's still my favorite. But
yeah, that is one of the better kills, especially because that's a Tom Savini effect, and you can always tell when you're watching some Tom Savini old school effects. Part 4 has them in spades. I'm actually surprised going from Part 4 to Part 5. Like, Part 4 was pretty darn gory, and I wonder sometimes if it was because it's the final chapter and the MPAA wasn't quite as harsh on that one, but then here comes A New Beginning, and now, so they're going to keep on making these shitty movies, or we're going to cut the hell out of this thing. I don't know. But I Part 4 at least had a little bit more gore than a lot of the other ones.
It's really weird, though, like, when you listen to some of the, I know you listen to a lot of the same podcast I do. Yeah. I don't know if you still listen to the Movie Crypt or not, but Adam Green was just talking about how, like, on Hatchet, because they had the guy that directed Lufkin, I can't think of what his name is, the guy that directed Maniac.
Oh, William Lustig?
Lustig, yes.
Yeah.
They had him on there, and they were talking, and he was talking about how in Hatchet, he was fighting with the MPAA. They wanted him to cut this and cut this and cut this, and this was too gory and blah 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 blah. but they, I think it was that episode there, they were talking about how sometimes it's like, if the blood is gushing, like in an unrealistic manner, that's fine. But if it looks too realistic, we can't have it. Or, there's some really weird rules with the MPAA about what can and can't be shown, and this is too much. Well, if you show her getting killed from the back and not the front, then we'll let that go. Type
it's all
weird
stupid.
rules.
Yeah.
We're adults, damn it. We can see what we want to see.
I know. And the thing is, I can kind of understand for a theatrical presentation to maybe cut it back a little. I still don't agree with it, but the fact that all these older, especially going back to Friday the 13th, it's like all of the cut footage, it's like it's all scrapped. And for the most part, from what I hear, it's all scrapped and destroyed. And it's like, that sucks. We'll never get to see what some of these old school horror movies were meant to be like. And instead, they're just these truncated, gore-free versions. Again, especially Friday the 13th, New Blood. It's like that could have been a great movie for a slasher movie, but it's just hacked to bits.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is.
So do you think you're gonna get to the theater to see the new Halloween?
I have a plan in place that I'm gonna see it tomorrow afternoon before the crowds descend the theaters. I'm gonna try and see it at there's a 2:50 showing, and I think I can make it.
Yeah.
So if I can make it for the 2:50, I'm like, the high school kids will still be in school more than likely, or I think I'm safe. I think. And then I've got a busy evening, so I'm like, I have a 2-hour window of opportunity to get to the theater. I'm 5 minutes away from the theater. Get to the theater, watch it, and get back. So that's the game plan, and I've been hearing great things about that. I've
been really trying hard not to pay attention to any reviews or anything, because I don't want it to get ruined by some asshole that just hates it because I don't like anything being remade, and I'm going to bitch about it whether it's good or not,
Yep.
Because there's plenty of them out there. Granted, we would never, ever, ever do that. My buddy's birthday is Saturday, so I think him and I are gonna go down and check it out. But the drive-in in the Bangor, which is about 40 minutes from where I live, is doing a double feature showing, but I don't know what the double feature is, so I'm hoping maybe it's the original Halloween.
That would be so cool.
And if we don't get torrential downpours like they're talking tomorrow, I think we may try to go to the drive-in, because it's like $20 a carload for 2 movies. So we may try to hit the drive-in up and check out that double feature. So, and we're old, so it's dark now here. I don't know about out in Ohio, but here it's dark at 5:30 now.
Same here, yeah.
So, which means, the drive-in starts as soon as it's dark. So we can actually be done by 10 or 11 o'clock, so we can get home and,
Well, that would be a great double feature. The original Halloween and this new one could be, obviously, because supposedly this new one picks up where part 1 left off.
Yeah. But I'm not sure that's what they're doing yet. So I was like, that would make the most sense to me, to maybe show the original, the 40th anniversary of the original and the new one. But, they'll probably end up showing something, I could care less about. And, but we'll see. Maybe they'll show something weird. It'll be like Venom in Halloween or something, some weird.
Yeah, you'd think that they'd try to team it up with another horror movie. And the only thing I can think of that's out right now would be that Hellfest. Is that what it's called? Hellfest, which I don't think it did.
That actually looked kind of decent. And And I've heard some good things about it. So I've heard it's kind of old schooly in its violence and gore and stuff. And it's kind of got that vibe of classic late 70s, early 80s films, as far as the brutality of it goes anyway.
Yeah, that was one, unlike Halloween, which I'm going to see that in the theater. Hellfest was that's one I'll wait till it hits streaming or a cheap Blu-ray. But Halloween, I'm I need to support these slasher movies in the theater if I can, because I want more slasher movies.
I have never seen a Halloween movie in the theater, even the Rob Zombie remake, reimaginings. I never got to see those in the theater. So I really would like to see this one in the theater if I can.
I saw Halloween. I saw H2O. I started with H2O, then the awful Resurrection, and then the first Rob Zombie. And I skipped the second one just because it got bad reviews, which now I've kind of turned around and I actually enjoy Halloween 2.
I've been trying to track down a copy of that, and they're not cheap because I don't know if it's out of print or what, but it's for like even a used copy, it's like $12, $13, which I mean isn't terrible price wise, but I'm cheap and I'm trying to find one for like $6 or $7 or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's available on because the original Blu-ray that came out was the director's cut, and I can't watch the director's cut. It's so obnoxious. If we're talking about Halloween Part 2, Halloween 2.
Zombies Halloween Part 2.
The only one that I will watch is the theatrical, which cuts out a good 15 minutes of Laurie Strode or Scout Taylor Compton, where being so awful and obnoxious. Most of what's cut out is her bitchy, awful dialogue, and it definitely improves the movie. I watched Halloween 2 last night. I watched Zombies Halloween 2 last night.
See, I've only watched the director's cut. That's another one that I've only seen one time. I didn't hate it, but it was like, kind of like you said, I remember I was like, man, this movie just feels way too long.
It is.
There's parts of it, like, it feels to me like if it was, as we so often say, I so often say it, I've heard you and Eric say 1,000 times on Movie Freaks, if they had just cut out 10 or 15 minutes and streamlined it a little bit.
And that's what Halloween 2 theatrical cut is. Yeah. And it totally turns the movie around. There are still obnoxious parts, but it's brought down so much that I can appreciate the movie way, way, way more. And I did some research on what was cut, and I don't believe there was any gore cut out of it. So it's just all
exposition,
dialogue.
basically.
Yeah, exposition, and the ending has changed around, which I actually like the ending in this one a lot more. But I think that honestly, Zombies Halloween movies, if it wouldn't have even been Halloween, like if it would have just been here's a Rob Zombie movie, a slasher Rob Zombie movie, and put a different mask on, whatever, maybe they would have been more well received, because as they are, they're just foul hillbillies Halloween remakes, whatever, and they don't. It seems like they haven't aged the greatest. I like them. I like both of them.
I really like the first one a lot. A lot of people bitched about young Michael and that, and them explaining everything. I thought that was great. I thought the kid that played Michael was awesome.
Yeah, he was. He was cool. I mean, he just a nasty little bastard.
But it was kind of interesting, I thought, to see how there was a reason why, everyone around him was a miserable, shitty person, except for like his mom was the only one that was decent, and she was not the greatest of people, but she, but his sister was a complete bitch. His stepfather was just rotten.
Awful. He was awful.
Rotten. And I can't remember the guy's name right off the top of my head, but I love him. He's a great actor.
Yeah, he is. He is.
But he played that role so well. I was like, I'm just waiting for you to get your comeuppance here.
Yes, and he does. And there was a bully in high school that young Michael Myers just beats the shit out of with a stick. That was great.
The stick. Oh, that's such a brutal scene.
Yes, that was great. I actually watched, which I'll talk about this on Movie Freaks as well, but I watched Halloween 5 today, The Revenge of Michael Myers. And anybody that complains about Rob Zombie's Halloween movies, go back and watch Halloween 5. Try to get through that. Like, that's trashy in not a good way. Oh my God, that was hard to get through.
I have missed a handful of the Halloween movies in the middle part of the series.
4, 5, and 6 are brutal.
I can't remember. I kind of like the one with a young Danielle Harris in it.
That's 4 and 5. She's in both of them.
I think it's 4. The one where he steals the car.
That's 4.
I kind of liked 4. I don't think I've seen 5 or 6. And then I think I've seen H2O and Resurrection are the ones after, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've seen those. But
yeah, the whole Danielle Harris series, which is 4, 5, and 6, they just they have not aged well. Even H2O has a very, very much 90s feel to it. At least that's competently made, and it's a good movie, but 4, Michael Myers Mask is just awful. And then 5 is it's just a complete pile of shit. And then
I've heard 5 is a mess.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And then 6, it improves some, but I go back and forth on this. I've watched the producer's cut of part 6 and then the theatrical cut, and I actually prefer the theatrical cut because it's more of a slasher versus the runestones and the mumbo jumbo stuff. It doesn't work. None of that movie really works, but I think the theatrical version is a little bit more, we're just a cheesy slasher movie and whatever, but the part 6 producer's cut, that was hard for me to get through. It's too long. Again, it's too long, and the whole maroon stuff. Hey, so you haven't seen part 6 at all?
No, I've heard. I know the general, plot of it and everything, but I've never seen it for some stupid reason. I'm one of these people, like the completist in me needs to watch them all.
You should.
It's a matter of finding like cheap copies of them to watch, because I hate spending $15 on something and especially if I know going in it's probably not going to be very good.
Yeah.
So Shudder has part 4 and 5 right now, so I really want to watch both of those sometime here in the next couple weeks before the end of the month.
I would be very curious to see what you think of those movies on a revisit. Good God, 5 was hard to get through this. I mean, I was like, I'm in a bad mood watching this movie. This movie is making me angry because it's so bad. And
like I said, I kind of remember liking 4, and I just watched part of that not too long ago. But 5, like I said, I don't think I've seen 5. I've heard it basically seems like it's just chopped together from the other films.
Oh, it's just it's put together so poorly to where there's no sense of pacing.
Yeah.
They're all over the place, and you can tell that Donald Pleasance does not want to be here. You can just tell he's not having a good time at all. It's just like on the back of the Blu-ray, it touts KNB effects for this gory sequel. I'm like, it is gore free. You can there's no gore in it at all because it's another one that got butchered by the MPAA and that the footage is gone, I guess. But like, why would you even promote that KNB Effects, which is a great effects studio? Oh, yeah. But I'm like, it's one of these where someone gets cut and there's a little drop of blood or whatever. It's like, it's bloodless. And, that movie is terrible movie. And it made me appreciate Zombies Halloween 2 all the more last night. I'm like, this was at least brutal and gory and the Halloween movies don't have to be gory if they're well made. Like H2O, I didn't think that one was that gory. Same with obviously the original Halloween, but they're well made.
The one thing is, like, a lot of with a lot of horror, you either usually generally get really good gore or a really good story and not so much gore. Very rarely, I think, you get both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Or it's one of those deals where you have all kinds of really cool gore and stuff, but the pacing sucks.
Yeah.
Or, I can take a movie if the pacing is good.
Yeah, The Thing is a good example of great pacing, great acting, great story, great effects. That is a great, gory, well-made science fiction horror movie. But like I watched Pieces the other week, and Pieces is a pretty shitty movie, but it's so gleefully gory and fantastic.
That's what I'm going to be watching sometime in the next few days. I'm getting through the stuff on my list because I don't know if you saw my list I posted.
Yes.
I had 56 movies on it. I knew I'm not going to get to all of those, but I figured I'd probably end up with maybe watching, like, I'm figuring in my head, if I get to like 35 or so of those, plus a few other random ones I watch, and there's going to be a few favorites I'm going to throw on. Yeah. But Pieces is one that I definitely will be throwing on before the end of the month. So
you have seen Pieces, correct?
No, I've never seen Pieces.
That's man. One. Now, which version do you have?
I have the Blu-ray Grindhouse release.
Oh, you bought the... Oh, nice. That's...
courtesy of my friend Dan. My friend Dan hooked me up with that, so yes.
Okay. That is one of my favorite slasher movies of all time.
I have heard it's just weird and awesome.
Yeah. I think, to me, Pieces most compares to Friday the 13th Part 5 in that it is just, what the hell is going on? But unlike Friday the 13th Part 5, Pieces is just incredibly gory and incredibly mean-spirited and gory. And I love all the random weirdness and the music, and everything about it is so, what am I watching? And it's great. It's great. I cannot imagine you're not going to enjoy it for the trashy, weird slasher that it is.
Yeah. And it's what I've been kind of, right now, see, the thing is, I've gotten a lot of the shorter runtime stuff out of the way. I've gotten through that stuff. I have a few shorter ones that I've never seen, but they're kind of like a little lower on my list of ones to check out, because they're ones I don't really know that much about. So some of the ones on my list of stuff I haven't seen that I've been that I want to watch this month. The problem is most of them are like 2-hour plus movies, a lot of them. So like The Exorcist and, The Omen and some stuff. I've seen The Omen, but it's been a long time. But a lot of stuff like that. So it's like, I'm getting into some of the longer ones now. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm only going to be able to watch one movie today if I'm going to get to it. So I'm trying to be a little more selective now about which ones I'm throwing on. And, instead of just burning through everything I can go through. And so,
Are you gonna watch the original Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween Season of the Witch? Are you gonna watch any of those?
I might towards right around the end of the month. My Horrorthon month, really, as far as what I'm counting towards my viewing, ends on the 27th, which will be next Saturday. That's my 31 days, because I started on the 27th of September. So after that, I'll probably, I'm not that I'm really worrying about throwing on whatever at any point, but I'm, like I said, my goal this year was to really get through a lot of the stuff on the list I hadn't seen in a long time. So
yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to end the Horrorthon month on like Halloween Eve or Halloween night or whatever, and because I've watched Halloween 1, 2, 3. I mean, I've watched a lot of the Halloween movies. I'm thinking maybe Trick or Treat. It's been a little while since I've watched that anthology.
I watched that last year for the first time, and I loved that. That was
great.
Sam is awesome. I love Sam.
Yeah.
Sam's great.
I would welcome a sequel for that one.
October 20, coming out in the next couple days, the official Blu-ray release, not the Umbrella one, but the actual, I think Paramount, or whoever owns the rights to it, is releasing the Blu-ray of Night of the Living Dead 90.
Great movie.
So, which is like, that's like one of my all-time favorite films, because that's, like I've said on the show before, that's one of the movies that got me into horror. If it wasn't for that movie, I probably wouldn't be a horror junkie,
It's so good. It's probably I'd say one of the top 3 or 4 favorite horror remakes of all time. I think it's so good.
It is my favorite horror remake of all time,
Yeah. The Umbrella release is great. I really like it. And I'm glad hopefully you're going to buy that on Blu-ray, correct?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I think it's Paramount or whoever's finally actually putting a, release out of it.
Yeah.
Whoever owns the rights to it originally, whoever originally put it out. It's coming out, I think, Monday or Tuesday or whenever it comes out is the official release date. So I'm probably going to pick that up and watch that. That will probably be my Halloween evening viewing is Night of the Living Dead 90, just to cap things off.
Oh man, maybe I should watch that. Maybe I'm tempted to watch that one too because it's so good.
It's been a couple years since the last time I watched it, and that's one I have watched so much that I've started cutting back on my viewings of it because I don't want to burn myself out on it. That was one I used to watch at least a couple times a year.
I've watched that one more than the original Night of the Living Dead,
me too.
Dawn, Day. I've watched the Savini remake more than any of the other Dead movies.
Oh yes, same here. I mean, I've watched all those a lot, but I've watched that hands down probably twice as much as any of the other films. So
I love that they take Barbara and turn her into a badass. I think that's great because it Savini very much pays homage to the original Night of the Living Dead, but he still makes it his own without making a carbon copy imitation. He changes some things here and there, and it's honestly I don't mind that it's not overtly gory. Because the original Night of the Living Dead wasn't either, but there's just enough gore. The score is great, and I love the ending on like the freeze frame ending, like the picture things that they were like over the end credits. It's so scary, like unnerving to me. And I love how they do that. I love that movie.
That was the thing. Like you're talking about Barbara. That's the thing. She's very different in this one, but at the very beginning of it, she starts out very much like the Barbara from the original.
Yeah.
But then there's like that little, when he has that little talk with her about, you know, you got to keep your shit together, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, I'm tired of being scared. I'm not, you told me to fight. I'm going to fight. And then she starts turning into a badass. And I will forever love Patty Tallman for that role. So I thought she was.
And then the end when she was like, oh, we're them and they're us. And they're that hillbilly guy is like, well, what does he say? Something like, you gotta be kidding me or something. Something like that, and she's watching them like mow down zombies that are hanging in trees or something like that.
Yeah,
it's so great.
Yeah, when they're fighting in the little pen and having the zombie wrestling match and all whatever. Yeah.
I'm wondering what the special features, if any, will be on that Blu-ray. The Umbrella release has a newer interview with Savini talking about the problems he had making that movie. I think he was going through a divorce. And then he had to cut some things out because I'm not sure if it was because of budget or because of the MPAA again. Yeah. But he had to trim some stuff. And some of the stuff he described that what he cut out or what he didn't film. And I'm like, just hearing you describe that sounds like it would not have really worked that good. It wouldn't have fit the final product. And so some of the challenges that I think that he faced, honestly, probably improved the movie.
That movie is pretty lean and mean. I don't even think it's an hour and a half. If I remember, it's like about an hour and 20 something.
Yeah, it gets rolling and just goes for it. Oh, I mean, it's a great movie. Great movie.
And you got Bill Moseley as Johnny, and Tony Todd as. You know, I have my Tony Todd signed picture of him as Ben above my office desk here. So, you know, when I met him a couple years ago, which was awesome, that was a pretty cool moment for me. I don't get, you know, too starstruck very often, but I kind of had a little slight. The only other time was when I met Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank from Mystery Science Theater.
Cool.
You know, when I met him, those were like two of the few moments I really kind of freaked out a little bit. It's like, holy shit, you know. But it was cool because I got to tell him, I was like, you know, thank you very much for. You are one of the big reasons I am a horror fan, you know, because of your portrayal as Ben. And I absolutely love it. To the day, that's still like one of my favorite horror movie portrayals of a character is him as Ben. So
yeah, and you know, much like that, I met Kane Hodder way back in the day. He was doing a signing up at a haunted house over Halloween somewhere here in Ohio, and I took up my Laserdisc of Jason Goes to Hell and a couple of my VHS tapes of him portraying Jason in New Blood and Manhattan. And so that was my starstruck moment. Like, I cannot believe I met Kane Hodder, and I'll never forget it. I gave him my Laserdisc, and he was like, "Whoa, Laserdisc, nice! I haven't seen one of these before, like to get signed." So I still have my Jason Goes to Hell signed Laserdisc from Kane Hodder and the VHS tapes that he signed.
I'm surprised you don't have that like framed in your theater room.
I probably have, eventually I will. But it's in storage, along with a couple other very rare Laserdiscs, and it's almost like they're in a box, stored, safe. And the VHS tapes, I should take better care of those VHS tapes because they're pretty important to me, the Kane Hodder signed ones, and they're in a box with all my other random VHS tapes that I kept, but, eventually I'll dig those back out. But the Laserdisc, that is my prize. That's one of my prize possessions.
Oh yeah, I can see why that's kind of a cool, unique item, you know, to have. So I know we don't have a lot of time today, so we'll kind of start wrapping things up. But what do you got coming up that you're going to be watching that you're kind of excited to check out?
Well, I've got, speaking of the movie on demand thing, I ordered, because I love my Hammer movies, so Dracula AD came out. That's
nice.
So I just got that one, and I was hoping
I have that one on DVD in a 4-pack, but I haven't watched it yet. So yeah,
set expectations in, like, it's cheesy, but it's cool. Like,
is it like sleazy 70s kind of cool?
Yeah, kind of, because it's all about like these swingers, these hipster swingers, I guess. They resurrect the Count, and it's fun. It's fun. It's not as good as like Prince of Darkness and Taste the Blood of Dracula, Scars of Dracula, but it's still cool. Now, they're also going to be releasing, I was hoping to get this before Halloween, but it got bumped back to, I think, early November, is Prince of Dark, or Dracula, what is it? Is it, what's the last one? The Satanic Rites of Dracula.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that one yet. I've never seen that.
I didn't.
Is it anything?
I didn't care for it, but that was actually the first Hammer Dracula film that I ever saw. I picked it up randomly at one of those like companies like Maddency that was putting out like DVDs left and right back in the day.
Yeah.
And it was a really shitty copy of it.
Yeah, that's all that's been available is these really shitty copies. But now we're finally getting.
There was some
legit
cool.
Blu-ray
I remember
release.
there being some really cool moments in it here and there, but I also remember it being just ungodly boring. From what I remember.
It's the last of the, because I have most of the Hammer Draculas I have are from the UK, but once I get Satanic Rites, I have every single Dracula from Hammer Studios, and I'm like, yes, I finally have them all.
Nice.
But I've got those coming. Have you ever watched The Unnameable? It's an 80s creature feature.
No. I don't even know if I've even heard of it.
The Unnameable is I watched the shit out of that movie on VHS back in the day. It's in the same vein of, I don't want to say Reanimator, but it's like somehow it's the Miskatonic College. There you go. Miskatonic College is also the same college in Reanimator, and that's your connection to Reanimator, and it's kind of in that, I don't want to compare it to Reanimator because it's not that, but it's in that era when it was made, and it's kind of gory, and it's cool. I can't wait it's finally been remastered. Unearthed Pictures, or Unearthed Films, is releasing it, which they're actually the company behind the American Guinea Pig movies, and it's cool to see that they're getting into releasing some of the older classic, not classic, but Unnameable is by no means a classic, but it's an 80s movie.
Yeah.
But speaking of Unearthed, I'm actually getting it's the fourth American Guinea Pig movie that should be heading my way before the end of this month, which is called Sacrifice. And I'm into these American Guinea Pig movies. They are extreme gore films, which I love.
Yeah, right now, like I said, I'm still working my way through the list. Pieces, I definitely am going to be viewing sometime soon. I'm going to be viewing The Exorcist. I'm definitely getting to sometime in the next few days, actually. Like I said, I'm planning on going to see Halloween. I'm also planning on tomorrow night doing a double feature of The Fourth Kind and Fire in the Sky, which I think is a perfect double feature.
It is. Yes, it is.
And I found a DVD copy of Fire in the Sky, which I have been looking for that movie for like 5 years. It's been out of print, and it's just hard to come across. I found some like strange, weird Korean Region 1 release of it. So it's all in English and everything though, but the case is kind of weird. So, but I was like, I don't care. It's $4. I have been looking for this movie forever. I'm going to buy it, you know. And
man, I need to rewatch that one. That's a Paramount movie, and I don't.
I believe
that's
probably in the vault or whatever, you know, that they do with their films. And I haven't seen The Fourth Kind since it first come out, but that movie creeped the shit out of me when I first watched it.
Same here.
So I got those coming up. There's a lot of stuff on my list. I'm definitely going to be watching Cooties here very soon. The Belko Experiment, Mother. I'm going to try to get both the Amityville Horror original and the remake in at some point. I think I'm going to try to do like a double feature of those back to back, watch the original, then watch the remake right behind it, just to see what the differences are. Because I've never seen either. So right now I'm trying really hard to concentrate on just stuff I haven't seen. I'm trying not to watch too much stuff that I've seen, even if I've only seen it once. So I'm trying to get some of those other films out of the way.
Have you watched Hereditary yet? You haven't.
I haven't. That's another one. I may save that as like the last movie of my horror-a-thon, you know. Next weekend, it kind of sucks for me. Not that it sucks for the reasoning, but I have a wedding to go to next Saturday, which is going to be technically like the last day of the horror-a-thon for me. So I'm probably not going to get to like watch anything that day. If I do, it's going to be later. And so I kind of got to see, but it's definitely going to get watched before Halloween. So
yeah. It's my favorite movie of the year so far. Annihilation's number 2 and Revenge is number 3.
Annihilation's right up there with me. Is that's definitely in my top 3 right now for films. Period, not just like horror films, but just films. Period.
Yeah, Annihilation is fantastic, and I probably would pick Annihilation as my number 1, but because I am such a horror guy, and Hereditary just worked for me. I can understand there are some criticisms out there about it, and I can understand why, but that occulty shit, I when you do it right, I love those movies. I mean, The Exorcist and The Omen, and I love that occult stuff, and Hereditary is that was very occulty.
I've heard everybody like it, and another one I really would like to pick it up when it comes out like Halloween Day. Matter of fact, I believe, or the day before, is Mandy. So if I can grab a physical copy of that, is it gonna? I think it's only like $12 or whatever. The Blu-ray is only like $12 or $13.
I couldn't wait on that. I bought the digital copy of it. I could not wait. I'm like, I have to see this movie, and it's a bit too long, but it is. They go for it, man. That is not a pleasant watch, but in the best way possible.
Yeah. But it's what I've heard is good. So hey, I will definitely spend, $12 or $13 sight unseen on something that goes for it and actually tries to do something just different and crazy and whatever. And
that movie.
I love to support stuff like that, So
yeah.
And I just watched Mom and Dad with Nick Cage and Selma Blair, which I loved that movie. I thought that movie was awesome. So have you seen Mom
Is that on Netflix? I have not. No, is that on Netflix?
It might be, but I bought a used copy on DVD through Redbox for like $4. It's cheap. I think you would love it because it very much feels like a late 70s Italian film set in modern times. It's good rage cage. There's some moments in that are just like, they are so over the top and so rage cage-esque that you're just gonna smile and nod your head and be like, yeah,
Same applies for Mandy, but it's the good actor Nick Cage. Like, he has some breakdowns, some crazy breakdowns in Mandy, but I'm like, this is not the.
And that's like Mom and Dad. He has some of those weird, but there's also some moments in that you're kind of just gonna smile and laugh at, because it's those. It seems like Nick Cage ran off script because he's Nick Cage and he just threw this line in and it makes no sense, and it's, what the fuck did I just hear him say? Type thing. But he's rocking a Misfit shirt in it, so that just kicked it up a whole level for me, because he's wearing a Misfit shirt. Because anybody knows me, that's my favorite band. So but yeah, man. So there's all kinds of cool stuff, and I'm hoping. I talked with Eric a little while ago about sometime in the next few weeks around the end of the Horrorthon. I think I'm going to be joining you guys again on the show.
Yes, you are. Yep.
So I will be on Movie Freak sometime here in the next few weeks, and I will let everybody know so they can check that out when it comes time. And thank you very much for coming on short notice. I know we've been trying to finagle this and get around schedules and everything else and find a time when I know you've been really busy. And
I have. And I would like to, I could keep talking horror movies for another hour, but it's, when you have 2 young kids and it's just...
And you just moved and
Yeah, it's just nonstop. But I got to do my podcasting, I got to get my creative outlet.
Oh, for sure. So before we go, I, again, would like to thank Eugene for being on the show. Make sure you go check out the Movie Freaks on everywhere where fine podcasts are available. If you found Average Joe's Drive-In, you can find the Movie Freaks. I want to thank my sponsors, the Maine Cannababes, and also congratulations to Canada for being the largest country to ever legalize marijuana across the board. So, just thought I'd throw that out there. I'm advocating. I'm in a state that it is legal, but that's beside the point. So I want to thank my sponsors, the Maine Cannababes. They are working on some new calendar stuff right now, and I saw some of the shoot stuff they just did. If you like really gorgeous ladies surrounded by many things marijuana related, or you want to learn some cool stuff and just things about laws and medicinal things and And lots of good resources and information. Go to maincanababes.com and you can find that. And thank you guys for all listening to the show. Remember, kids, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and I will see you sexy animals on the flip side.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.
Thanks for listening to Average Joe's Drive-In. If you'd like to talk movies or contact the show, add our social media pages. You can add us on Facebook at Average Joe's Drive-In Podcast, on Twitter at TWJ Author, on Instagram at Thomas Washburn Jr. You can also hit up www.thomaswashburnjr.com for more information about the show and related links. If you'd like to support the show, you can buy TJ's books on Amazon. Just type in Thomas Washburn Jr. in the search. Books are available in Kindle and paperback formats. If you have Kindle Unlimited or Prime, you can read the books for free and money will be earned by the pages read. It doesn't cost you anything and it supports the show. Until next time, you've been listening to Average Joe's Drive-In.